Overlay is the best thing you can ever do for your bankroll. So it is time, guys, a brand new platform we're going to draft on today. Well, it's not brand new. I'm brand new to it. We're playing on Drafters today. It's going to be a draft with $300K to first place. The Drafters Million is on the table today. Interesting format here. Full point PPR, no playoffs. So you don't have to worry about advancing. That is what we're going to try to figure out on this stream today. This is my first Drafters. Well, not my first draft, actually. My second one of this offseason. To be candid and give you guys the full disclosure that we always have to on here, did get reached out to by the Drafters team, had a call with their founder, Zach, who's a great guy, a very nice guy there who cares a lot about his product. Saw the influence we have here on Splash Play with the ones and ones of live viewers we're going to get on this stream and thought, hey, let's get these guys in the mix here. Let's give them some comps and then let's see what we can do to try to fill this tournament here. So I think there's still a good shot here that this one will not fill. That's a lot of sharp drafters out there have been heavily on. You can see some guys in the room here, some names you might know. But of course, we got to build a team that can survive the regular season and give us enough total points throughout. So going to do some different things than I would normally do. That said, I'm still going to take a receiver here. We are going to go with Tyreek Hill for our first pick in the 3-hole. Hopefully the screen looks okay here. Tried to make sure to get it to look appropriate here with some different things moving around than there's usually on DraftKings and Underdog. You can see the board above me. You can see the picks over here. You can see my team over here. So this is going to be our drafters setup here for the drafters drafts we will hit down the home stretch. But I'm excited to play on here. I think full point PPR and having to retrain my brain and not worry about week 17 correlations, but we are still trying to stack up our guys. We are trying to target perhaps more so the really good teams. The really good teams are going to get more wins. They're going to score more points as a result. So I think that's something where I do want to try to target them more perhaps than I might normally on Underdog, where you guys know me. I'm happy to take a flyer on a mid-tier team in the hopes that they're going to put up a lot of points overall. But very excited to be drafting here today. So let's see what we can do on this one. Shout out to the chat as well, GM, to Aaron, the Squirt Squad in the house. Of course, you can join the Squirt Squad by hitting the join button down below. It's less gross than it sounds. It just means you're a part of the Splash Play family here. And if you do join, you get me to put on my special Italian hat and welcome you to the family here. So please feel free to hit that join button if you want to be part of the Squirt Squad as well. These self-dubbed Squirt Squads, to be clear, this is not my branding choice, as the marketer du jour. But yeah, so interesting format on drafters. What else would I say in terms of the meta strategy that I'm trying to execute here? I think, again, really focusing on the winning teams, really focusing on better teams overall. I'm hoping to get less snipes overall as well. Drafters, I do think, is going to be a site that's got a little more of the diehards out there, the folks that tend to make for logical rooms on Underdog, logical rooms on DraftKings. So I think that's something perhaps we can put a feather in our cap for here. But we're going to see. We're going to see what we do. Best Ball Bros this year was a classic. Yes, if you missed that one, that video just came out on Pete's Deposit Kingdom Discord. One thing I will give a critique to Pete right away. No Anthony Richardson mentions at all. Not even a single one. Not even no talk of rookie tight ends either. A lot of Davis, though, in that video. So if you are a fan of Pete's Davis-Maddock impression, you can really load up on all your takes for the year. Baby Stevie here. Shouts to all the babies in chat. That's always what I try to push towards here. But we are going to do some draft. I hate that with such a long delay between these picks. I wish I were in more of a middle round spot because frankly, like I'm excited just to draft some teams on drafters. I have to also give the cosign here. And I said this to Zach too, the founder. I have to give my honest take on things. I really wanted the mobile app to be good. And I do think their mobile app, from what I saw with the notification process with all of that, worked a lot better for me than DraftKings does. So another cosign that I would give there. And but we'll talk more about it as we go. See what we can do coming up. Waddle goes, so we're not going to get our Miami guys, which is fine. Derrick Henry, I feel like for a total points season-long format does kind of make a bit more sense. Still wouldn't mind trying to go 0 RB, but I am going to break tendency here because I do think we're trying to build a little bit more of a floor team overall. Still obviously want to get the week-to-week ceiling. That's an important part of any best ball format, but I do think getting Derrick Henry at this point of a draft, I don't hate it for this kind of build where I just want a guy who's going to give me a steady production throughout the year. Derrick Henry, I think you still have the same injury risk, obviously, you would have on Underdog and DraftKings. The guy's got more mileage on him than any star back in the league. But with that in mind, like I do think he's a little bit undervalued throughout this process. There's a guy I would not have minded getting on the way back, Mark Andrews. Unfortunately, he goes to Big Marley here, I believe we follow each other on Twitter. So shout out to the Ship It boys over there. Yeah, Spags him that all over 30 squad going. Is Tyreek over 30? Like Tyreek is still under 30. He acts, it's his life choice to see him under 30. 29 for Tyreek. How dare you, OG1 Kenobi? Don't besmirch the great Tyreek Hill's name. Lovely guy. Kind of guy you'd really love to hang out with, I'm sure, especially for babysitting duties. That's really where you want Tyreek. All right, let's see what we're going to get on this pick coming back. Man, I'm surprised Big Marley here didn't go Lamar's way with that one. If you're going to take Andrews, I would still try to stack it up. DK Metcalf, a guy I certainly have no issues with if we've seen a bunch of times on here. Do you think there's a little more value on Keenan Allen on the site as well with the full point PPR? Lamar, I have no issue with either. But I don't need week 17 correlation. Again, my brain, I have to retrain it. DK Metcalf will be our pick here. But that was one where I was like, oh yeah, it's Tyreek and Lamar. That's a slam dunk. What a week 17. And I guess you could still theoretically like put in some week 17 correlations because you do want to get one more big score to close out your season. But obviously what matters the other 16 weeks probably matters a lot more on drafters than it would on any other site. So something to keep in mind. Spags is now the top drafters influencer. I wish, man. I hope you guys sign up for it genuinely. And you can see the promo code here over to my left. Use the promo code SPLASH, same one as Underdog, but they will do the same thing as well, up to a $100 deposit match. So help the show out, help yourself out, give yourself a few entries in the drafters million. I think that's honestly a good thing to do for your bankroll. I would only agree to do this stuff if I thought it was going to be something that would actually help the community out with a shot to win some money. So that's why I would fully advocate using that promo code there. But apparently the biggest influencers for drafters, from what they were telling me, is our own, not our own, but former Splash Play guest guy, is a friend of the show for sure. Davis Maddock is, in fact, I believe, their biggest influencer. He's moving a lot of promo codes for himself, is what they were telling me. And they were like, do what Davis Maddock does, which might be the first time anyone's ever said that. No slight to Davis, of course. It's a fellow long-haired man and frequent Peter Overzet co-host. Goodeth morning to you, Mr. Pittsburgh. Shout out Mr. Pittsburgh here. Shout out to all the guys coming over from Pete's videos. Fun double stream for him today with of course the champ Pat Corrine, Best Ball Mania 3 champ, and Sean Siegel. Did enjoy seeing those drafts, as I always like to do on my Wednesday morning. So make sure to check that out. And congrats again to Pete, our boy. Finally got his 15,000 subs. So I even threw in a few subs from all the YouTube accounts I have on my handles as well, just help our boy out down the home stretch. But shout out to Pete again. Very proud of him for what he's been doing this year. The grind doesn't stop for the boys. The Eliminator is something I didn't think I would have a huge edge in Eliminator, where drafters is going to have hella overlay and dead teams. I think that's a good way to look at it. And look, you guys know I'm going to be real with you. Like, I'm not going to be Mr. Marketing Spiel. I certainly want you guys to go sign up and all of that. The Eliminator seems like a lot of fun. That said, bigger entry fee. Definitely, I think it's going to fill very fast. There's no shot at overlay. And it's a new brain game, whereas this really, you're applying the same principles you are for a lot of the other tournaments, where if you're drafting on DraftKings, if you're drafting on Underdog, it's really the same thing you're rolling in here. And I think especially with DraftKings, so for me, I think it's the kind of situation where I would certainly want to put more money towards the drafters. As I mentioned before, my pal Rinpack from Stochastic, one of the top DFS players in the world, he would play on Super Draft. He would play on No House Advantage, which rest in peace to No House Advantage. He would draft on those sites and do those things on those sites all the time, or build teams rather on those sites. Because even though he's a top DFS player, even though he would have the big wins on DraftKings and FanDuel, what helped him keep his bankroll going, would help him continue to rack up the racks that he would put up for himself. He would keep drafting on Super Draft and No House Advantage, because he basically was crushing it on that site because there was just less competition, more overlay. So that's why, that's we're going to do this stuff and flag it for you guys. We are on the clock here. Definitely would like to avoid correlation in my brain as much as possible. Terry McLaurin, a guy that if he is going to fall at all here, very, very slight ADP dip. You're not seeing any big ADP fallers so far. Again, a sharp room, so nothing too shocking there. But I will add Terry McLaurin to my list. We do, again, have the same positionality here, so we are going to get our 3 receivers and feel pretty good about that. I think I'm going to be a little more inclined to be a bit of an RB piggy in a drafter's draft, just because, again, I do want to give myself that floor, whereas on Underdog, I'm willing to take some early L's at running back, or, a little bit less so. Like, you want some early guys for sure to give you production. But on drafters, I do think, like, the rookies that have so much appeal to me, unless they are getting a full role from the jump, I think there's a little bit less upside to them right away. There's a question from my guy Tony Mark here. Divisional correlations in full season format. You could do a little bit more for that. Something where, frankly, I'm just trying to wrap my head around the overall enough that I don't want to view that as a priority for me. But I think overall, definitely something that you could look at. So Justin Fields would definitely give us some season-long upside. I don't love him uncorrelated in general, but Drake London, I heard Pat and Pete talking about the merits of a little bit more. He's also definitely a guy who I think is top of mind. but I am going to go Justin Fields here. I would like to get two at some point to correlate with Tyreek, but I think as a standalone play, Justin Fields, we know 50-point fantasy upside. I think he makes a little bit more sense here for trying to build the team out. So my team so far, and you can see, I get to even put my little splash play avatar here on Drafters, which makes me happy. Justin Fields, Derrick Henry, Tyreek Hill, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin. Definitely all guys who have big spike weeks, maybe not as much of a PPR team as I should be trying to push towards, where, again, the Keenan Allens of the world, the guys who are a little bit more intermediate route, check down, high target rate guys, maybe have a little bit more value. But I still, for me, want to take the best available players, want to take the guys that I think can excel in the metrics that I talk about, the expected points added metric in particular. That's one where these guys, Tyreek Hill, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, a lot of downfield targets, a lot of upside week to week, but perhaps get a little more safety in terms of the PPR production overall. Love the Fields, Mooney, Kmet stack now. Moore is very overpriced. I agree Moore is overpriced. I still do and think that inherently any bet on Justin Fields is going to be a bet on DJ Moore. If Justin Fields becomes basically a league average passer, last year he was so far under league average in that metric, but year 3, you expect him to make a leap here. If he gets to average, like the guy who benefits the most is probably still DJ Moore. I think you can definitely backdoor stack Justin Fields. We might try to do that here with Mooney and Kmet. But I think overall, like if you're going to take Fields, it's kind of inherently a bet on DJ Moore having an outlier day. That's the one thing I didn't think about planning this, is that now the chats are over my face, but you can really see me immersed with your chat now. I'm fully locked in. Of course, if you enjoy me drafting on other platforms as well, tomorrow will be the big day. 8 hours of DraftKings drafts here live on the channel starting at 9 a.m. East Coast time. So come back for that one as well. And we'll have more PPR drafts. So that's exciting. I do like PPR formats. I find them, I would say, more appealing. I think just a different kind of appealing where you certainly have a little more outs with a PPR format. Whereas for an underdog, you really got to get your touchdowns there. You got to get your stacks and correlations ready to go. And I think that's something where, a drafters, a DraftKings, probably have some more laid outs for guys that are just pure volume guys that get those kind of shitty check downs at running back, especially the historical JD McKissicks of the world. Probably a little bit more value on drafters and DraftKings, but we will talk about those guys as they come up. I go this way. I'm coming for that eggplant. I'm coming for it. I could just be like Pac-Man. Wait, can I go? All right, let's go over here. Now we go waka, 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 waka. I hope this entertains you guys, because this brings me joy to try new visual bits here on a live stream. All right, let's see what we got coming up here. Again, some guys that I love in every format. George Pickens going to be right here. We'll see if he goes. Javonte Williams, I think, also a guy that should have an early season role and should get better as the season goes on. He would look pretty good to me as my RB2, but we will figure it out based on what we got on the board coming up. And and I don't need a correlation with J.K. Dobbins because it doesn't matter. So I'm going to don't correlate. All right, so we do see Pickens go. Javonte seems fine to me here. Has a 63 ADP here on Drafters. I do think as well. Talked about a lot the offensive coordinator moves. Joe Lombardi being the offensive coordinator for Denver, I think bodes very well for both Samaje Perine and Javonte Williams. We saw Javonte get some targets in that preseason game so far. Definitely, I think, a chance for him to be more than just a pure handoff guy like I think he was at previous points of his Denver career with the other coaching staff. So for me, I think Javonte, very solid pick, guy I'm very willing to go to in every format. But I think on Drafters, probably has even more appeal because he probably can get you 4 easy PPR points a game, I think, moving forward. Pac-Man bits for you for the bit. Thank you. Yes, I love Pac-Man. Miss Pac-Man is one of the arcade games I am better than most people in the world at. So I will very much swear by Pac-Man, and I'll gladly waka, waka, waka all day. All day here. Let's see what Big Marley's going to do in his spot. Ooh, we got Michael Pittman on the screen. Is this a Michael Pittman team? Do we go cross? I can't do a draft on another platform and not get AR, right? So we are going to go to Michael Pittman. To the team so far: Justin Fields, Derrick Henry, Javonte Williams, Tyreek Hill, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, and Michael Pittman. I don't mind the start. Honestly, I feel like this is a team that doesn't feel too different from ones I build on other platforms, but I do think overall, like, I like the texture of it. Derrick Henry, I guess, would be the one difference point that forcing myself to go there a little bit more, I think looks better for me. And let me make sure to keep moving the draft board. Also, again, to speak of the UX stuff, because that's what, frankly, what jumps out to me the most when going on to a new site. UX works well. Like the UX is pretty. I think it works well on desktop. There are also some fun things too with the Drafters backend where we talk a lot about the Fantasy Life Best Ball Hub on here, a great free tool that I would give the cosign to. Again, not paid for it, but I do think it's worth your guys' time. On Drafters, you can actually see your ADP for each player as well on your account. So I think that's pretty cool. They definitely have some nice wrinkles that I think are intuitive for players that are nice that I think are just not on some of the other sites. So definitely some merits to Drafters overall, even though, obviously I am shilling, but I'm not shilling fully. I'm giving my honest takes while shilling. Yes, the Drafters backend. Yes, that'll be the new video going up on Pornhub. The Drafters backend. Well, Drafters being so new, do you think the field will be loaded with degens like us and less casuals? I do think there'll be less casuals. I guess it depends on what happens with the overlay, though, where I think if people are aware of overlay, and I have saw some people talking about it in the Pete's Deposit Kingdom Discord, just talking about how, hey, you should probably be drafting on Drafters because it looks like there's not going to be able to fill it. I think there's a chance that you do get some people who are just chasing overlay, which frankly is a lot of the smart degenerates, but not necessarily great drafters. So I do think that you will find a mix on that front. But overall, I do think you'll find kind of, from what I've seen so far, and again, this is me only having done one draft, I think you're going to find cleaner rooms overall, even though Tua gets picked here. Please tell me this guy at least has Waddle. All right, well, we got sniped on Tua. We got sniped on Tua. Both me and Beef House, we both have a Miami receiver. And all right, so that's fine. I guess it makes sense anyway, because I was going to try to do Tua as well as AR. I now can only do AR, I guess, if he comes back to me. That sucks. So if you're seeing it in real time here, what the applications are, people will still snipe you. That's going to be the case. But for my first draft, I would say felt a little bit more like a May BBM room than it did a DraftKings Wild West room. But clearly it might be different today. All right, let's see what Six God does here. And then we will make our pick. Where is AR's ADP on the site? Okay, AR is at 105. Do we dare try to push him? Is there anybody even worth me pushing? The bigger question. So we have Deshaun, Elijah Moore, Traylon Burks. Traylon Burks would correlate okay. I'm reaching for AR. It can't be a drafter's draft. I'm going to go on a fucking new site. I'm putting my best foot forward, and that means putting on the AR jersey, which conveniently, we're also drafters colors overall here. So let's hit it. Anthony Richardson, come on down. Put the jersey on. I need like a song that plays when I do this instead of just me putting on clothes slowly while off mic. But yeah, I got to get my shares of AR. I'm probably going to get, like 10 drafts in on drafters. So I got to make them count here. And this is going to be me making Justin Fields and AR. Who can argue with that? And the good news is we do get Traylon Burks coming back. So I think he will be our fifth receiver, and we will dial it back at the position for a little bit. So the team so far, Justin Fields, Anthony Richardson. I really do love getting two mobile QBs who also have passing upside in this kind of format. I think that works well. Derrick Henry is going to be our bell cow anchor back. Hopefully it gives us a lot of weeks. Javonte Williams will be the young guy who comes on and probably starts, still has some role, but then picks it up as you get that down towards the end of the season. Now we have Tyreek Hill, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, Michael Pittman, Traylon Burks. Michael Pittman, you guys all know I'm carrying a lot of Pittman bags because of my love for Anthony Richardson. I do think Pittman on a site like Drafters makes even more sense. Full point PPR for him. I think he's going to have the touchdown equity to be useful on Underdog, but I think for this kind of format as well, he can be an 8 catch for 80 yards guy, even with Anthony Richardson throwing the ball. So that feels pretty good. And I think he kind of balances out that we have a lot of deep target guys, a lot of boom bust kind of guys. Pittman, I think, would be one that would fit the PPR criteria a little bit more. All right. Let's see what we're going to do with our next few picks. Yeah, AR and Watson are such comfortable picks later in the draft. I feel that way on every platform, honestly. Definitely Deshaun Watson. We all know the human reasons why he might not be a guy we want to bank on, but certainly someone that I think in his kind of situation where Cleveland, I just expect to be better. That division, honestly, might be the toughest one, like out of all of them, where you have the Bengals, you have the Steelers, you have the Ravens, and you have the Browns. And I expect all those teams to be ascendant this year. Maybe the one thing that I talked about the other day, like maybe Joe Burrow gets hurt again. I don't love him getting hurt this early on, especially with a history of lower leg injuries. But unless something weird like that happens, like all of those teams have pretty good defenses. All those teams have potential rock star offenses. So I think it could be pretty fun. Oh, here we go. Tyler, you super chatted in. Tyler, of course, a proud member of the Squirt Squad, and we're going to see it here. Can you rate my start? Kate Upton, elite. QB Sofia Vergara, hero. RB Emma Stone, RB2 with huge upside. Charlize Theron, elite wide receiver. Doja Cat, elite tight end. So Charlize Theron, I think we got to say the best days are behind her here. So that would be the first thing I would point out for Charlize Theron. Sofia Vergara, though, I think if you're going to have a vet in the room, that's the one I would want. Probably good for locker room morale. But really, I think those are the two where they need to at least be at QB. Like, I'm going to take a flyer on them at QB, perhaps as a veteran who could stand in the pocket and take some hits. But I think overall, don't mind the build. Certainly, I would bring in some young guns. I'd bring in Sydney Sweeney as one of your running backs here. Hope that she crests towards the end of the year. Who else can we who else can we objectify here for Tyler? But interesting team build overall. Interesting team build overall. Honestly, I think Sydney Sweeney would be Anthony Richardson, if we're being real about it. She bursts onto the scene and then just a star the second she touches the field. Do you have any depth to the roster? Yeah, that's true. It's a very shallow roster that Tyler's going with here. All right, so we have Samaje Perine. I think Samaje Perine, again, would be a nice play in this format, but not a fit for me here. We can potentially go a different direction. Devin Achane, I think, feels pretty good. I do wonder if he would slide in this room, just given the fact that he does have the Q tag on him. He's also a guy that perhaps people are falling out of love with the Miami backs, the veteran backs looking a little more prominent. But I am going to take Achane here, correlate my Miami, and I think that works. So we have Henry, Javonte Williams, Devin Achane at running back. And I see one more running back I'd be happy to take on the way back, but we'll see what he does. Okay, there we go. Big Marley takes Tank Bigsby. That sucks for me. None of these running backs look too appealing. Wow, Kenneth Gainwell's ADP on here is kind of nuts. But that's a bet on a good team. I think I'm going to reach for Gainwell here. I want to make sure to fill out this running back room. I feel really good about the base at receiver. So we are going to add Kenneth Gainwell and Devin Achane in these 2 rounds. And then let me get this screen a little bit more correct. There we go. Oh, Spags lady roster would be all teenagers with upside, ethos above morals. I do think that, there's diminishing returns for me as a mid-30s man. I guess technically late 30s man. But if you're building, again, if we're building a roster, we're building the fantasy roster of starlets. I think, we're going youth upside. Like, I would take Jenna Ortega on my team. I think she would be a strong pick. And we're going to then have 10 years of her. The dynasty pick of Jenna Ortega, a superstar who people are very weird about online, from what I know. That's the kind of players I want to build around for my objectification rosters. Saw you in the draft. Didn't think about it being streamed until now. Good to see you in the draft. And shout out to our guy, Kyle. We follow each other on Twitter. I don't know Kyle well, but do enjoy his takes on there. So glad to see you in here. And yeah, again, drafters, look, you're seeing all the guys here. Like, Kyle's over at Ship It. He's a grinder. He's a guy who's doing the slates every day and having success doing that. Like, I think when you do see drafters like Kyle in rooms, and hopefully guys like me, guys like Davis, we're trying to just go where there's going to be some upside for us, some opportunity to make things work. And certainly having drafters reach out to me and try to do it, like that helps me get going as a lazy boy. But also, like, this is why, like, this is where these guys make the money. This is where a lot of sharp players make their money, is sites like drafters. So that's why you peep that promo code. Okay. Should have taken Livy Dunn. Oh, that's too much star power. She's kind of a Jordan Addison type where maybe the situation works out well for her, but I don't know if she's going to actually reach her potential in her current configuration. Livy Dunn, though, boy, if we were making Livy Dunn money here, I'd be a happy boy. I'd be wearing gold Anthony Richardson jerseys here. Got to go rookies. Always got to go rookies. Selena Gomez, the 101. Yeah, Selena Gomez, kind of a Javonte Williams, I think. We're going to keep making these comps. She had a little bit of a stall on herself, had some health issues, had some mental health stuff too. And now she's back and looking great and posting all sorts of clips that I see pop up in my Reddit feed all the time. So that's how you know. That's how you know she's back. But some star trajectory, I don't know. I think Javonte Williams is the comp for her, right? That seems about right. Oh, who's the Najee Harris? Oh, that's a tough one. Now, who would be the Najee? So this has got to be someone who's been around for a little bit, but isn't too long in the tooth, I guess, because Najee is still mid-20s. Lindsay Lohan comes to mind for Najee, but that's not right. That's not right. Lindsay Lohan is like Frank Gore at this point in the game. You chat tell me. I'm sure drafters is delighted that this is the first draft they get for me. They're like, hey, we would love to have your influence to help us try to fill this and get some people aware of the Drafters brand. And we're just here doing this. But you know what? That's what you buy in on, guys. That's what you buy in on. All right. So we need some tight ends. Again, I always would prefer to correlate more at tight end, but I do think we're just trying to get guys who are going to give me upside and production every single week. Sam Laporta is absolutely one of those guys. So just another one too, where I love him on every platform. I do think on Drafters, I want to still have guys that are part of my overall portfolio and plan. So Sam Laporta, again, would like him correlated, but he's not going to be correlated here. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. You know what? I'm an adult here, Tyler, too. I make the choices I make to, to say these things. So you're all good. It's not on you. Meatwad sums it up well. First draft, we're comparing Lindsey Lyon to Frank Gore. I can only be who I am, guys. I can only be who I am. All right. Tyler Algier, I think, makes sense, but I would like to get the AR double. I think that's still a play that makes sense to me on every site. Alec Pierce going to give me some spike weeks. So I'm going to take Alec Pierce here. The team so far, Justin Fields, Anthony Richardson at QB, Derrick Henry, Javonte Williams, Devin Achane, Kenneth Gainwell at running back, Tyreek Hill, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, Michael Pittman, Traylon Burks, and Alec Pierce at wide receiver. Then at tight end, we get Sam Laporta. I like the team. Again, this still, I think, a little more underdoggy of a team, just because Pierce, I think, is a pure touchdown play. But Pittman looks better here, so maybe that kind of balances out. But overall, I think this team works for me. And was thinking about taking Roschon. Still love Roschon on every format, but I really do think he's kind of more of a late season play. I think he'll have a role to start the year for Chicago, but probably not enough of a role. Though I guess on this kind of team where we do have Derrick Henry, we have Javonte, we have Gainwell, we have enough early season guys that maybe I could have taken Roschon there. Oh, well. We'll figure it out. And this is only my second drafters draft. So we are going to do a few more of these on the home stretch because, like, again, I think it's an important thing to promote sites that have the overlay going. But we'll hopefully get better as we go. I think it's always an adjustment for me on a new platform. With Underdog, like I know the ADP is like the back of my hand. With DraftKings, they do move around a little bit more weirdly, but same thing there. For drafters, you just got to know the pockets and how to figure it out. And I think the one thing I might change here would be one more early running back. I think would have felt a little better because it does feel like there are some wide receiver values we can get, but definitely feels pretty good. Shout out to Brandon. I'm going to sign up this week as well as use that promo code and get that free hundo. Again, that's the best thing you do. You're getting not only overlay, but a deposit match on it. So it's $20 entry fee. I forget if I mentioned that, but so that's 5 entries if you deposit 100, then another 5 on top of that. And I would say if you're going to put 10 entries into something, like your 10 entries in the Drafters Million will probably carry you a good amount further than I think they would on some of the other sites. So just something to keep in mind. Obviously, play the sites you enjoy, but I do think it's important to kind of play where your money is going to give you the most bang for your buck. And I do think Drafters right now probably well equipped to be the best site for that. And yes, there is a Discord. Join the Squirt Squad in the Splash Play. Yes, today, an eclectic mix of conversation points where obviously we talked about the Best Ball Brunch adult film that came out. Our guy Bolick was sharing some sourdough bread he made. So we're covering it all there on the Splash Play channel and Pete's Deposit Kingdom Discord. So get in the mix there. Definitely a fun place to be and help support the show and help support Pete. Yeah, Drafters, I don't think is puritanical, though I think they are Canadian. So same thing, two sides of the same coin. You tell me. I don't know. Roschon hanging around. I think if Roschon falls here, I will scoop him up. Yep. All right. That worked out well. So Roschon, we're getting a 10-pick discount, which I think, again, it makes sense on Drafters that he would go a little bit lower. But as my RB5 with some early down bell cows, early season bell cows to go, I feel pretty good about that. Tight end, I think, is where I'm going to run into some issues. But let's see what we got at tight end. Yeah, tight ends went real early here. So that's going to be an adjustment point for me. Definitely some guys I could still take late who I like a lot. Some of them might be week 17 correlated that you can see on the screen, but we'll get there at tight end. But I think that's the one thing I should probably adjust for more is maybe prioritizing elite tight end a little bit more overall. I think would be something that would be important. It was a big priority for me last year in Best Ball Mania. This year for drafters, I think it makes more sense than Underdog where you can just get 3 late tight ends and feel pretty good about it. All right, let's see. See what we're going to do here. We're pretty good at all the positions besides tight end, so I like that. All right. Jaden Reed here. Brock Purdy, no correlation. Kendre Miller. Hmm. You know what? This is a guy who's got a role right now, and I just don't want to get completely steamrolled at tight end. I am going to take Jake Ferguson here. Not doing it for the Week 17 correlation with Sam Laporta, but I am doing it because I think he's an undervalued player for this kind of format where he's going to start the season with a role. I think there's some vague risk that he can lose that role to Luke Schoonmaker, but not one that I think it would keep me from him on drafters. So I will take him here. Tyler's saying prioritize elite tight end and QB are the adjustment I've made on drafters. That certainly is why I went to Justin Fields' way. I think that having him there, and then having AR too, is a guy who can hopefully rise to that group of elite QBs this year. We'll see, obviously, if that comes through. But I think even if he doesn't over an entire season, I think game to game, he will give me that elite QB ceiling. So I do like that situation for me at QB, but I think Tyler's right here. Trying to leave every draft with an elite QB and elite tight end probably increases the floor of your team while still giving you that week-to-week upside. And again, it's no playoff advance rate stuff. So you basically just 17 weeks total points scored. So you do want to just you have to build the nuts, but I think you also have to build a team that week-to-week is just going to give you enough upside. And you don't want to have some down weeks really on drafters. How many BBM4s do I have left? I am at, I think 16 more. So I have to space those out because we're doing the content streams here. You have 134 BBMs. So we're close, man. I am sad. I was thinking about it today and I'm just like, fuck, I can't believe I'm not going to have any more BBM teams to draft coming up soon. And I also too, have to pace myself where I'm now not doing off stream BBM drafts because I want to make sure we have enough to get through at least 1 or 2 a day here and then hit the Spags stacks on Fridays. So it is a balance if you are a draft streamer. Please, guys, pour it out for me. Everybody feel bad for me, the draft streamer. That's nice. You can still manage your portfolio a little bit more. And the tough part, I think, for me, where we do have, we have 15 entries left to go, is do you want to try to balance your portfolio, or do you just want to play the hits and try to build the cleanest versions of teams that you like? That's my struggle that you guys are probably going to see play out on stream over the next few weeks. So I'm excited to do those entries, but sad, man. This is best ball drafting is a grind. I know we've talked about that in the chat a little bit. So many drafts you do. I was talking to the CEO of Football Outsiders yesterday, or the parent company, trying to figure out what we're going to do if we can get everything ready for the season, and if your old pal Spags can get paid. So all those things. And was talking about he asked, hey, how many best ball drafts have you done? I'm like, I don't know, 500. He's like, what? Because I guess he'd played best ball before, but it's not in our bubble, not in this world of best ball. And he was baffled by that. It's yeah, that's what it is, man. We've been drafted since February, which I think is what hopefully gives you guys some value here. I've been hearing some really nice comments from guys in the community lately about how they feel like they've been helped by the process, both my shows, of course, and Pete's shows, and us combined, talking things out and disagreeing on things. But I do think, it's just a matter of if you could strap in for the grind, it is the most fun grind you'll have, and the most fun sweat you'll have. But you got to get one team to the finals and hopefully sweat it out there. I'm crying for you, Spags, from my dickus. Thank you. It's where we always wanted. Nobody has it worse than a draft streamer. It's true. The people out there don't realize that we're truly the ones suffering for the art. All right. So we could use another tight end, at least one, I think. Oh, you know what? Let's have some fun, guys. I think Taysom Hill makes a lot of fucking sense on drafters. So let's go Taysom Hill, Sam Laporta, Jake Ferguson, Taysom Hill. I think we've got some kind of floor tight end plays with Laporta and Ferguson. And now we're dunking it home with old Taysom Hill. Taysom, not my favorite player overall. I do think, as I've talked about, that just the amount of weapons they have in New Orleans is not the same as it's been the last few years, where they can sort of get away with, hey, we have to feed Taysom these touches because we have nobody else who's going to do anything besides Alvin Kamara. Now you theoretically have Michael Thomas back. You have Olave growing. You have Rashid Shaheed emerging as a weapon. And you have Derek Carr you paid a lot of money to. So I think that's something where Taysom's role gets marginalized. But if he gives me 3 spike weeks throughout the year, that's probably a good sign for drafters. All right. So we got all these guys. We don't need the week 17 correlation, but I am going to get Gus Edwards in. I think he rounds out this running back room. So at QB, Justin Fields, Anthony Richardson, running back, Derrick Henry, Javonte Williams, Devin Achane, Kenneth Gainwell, Roshan Johnson, and Gus Edwards. At receiver, Tyreek Hill, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, Michael Pittman, Traylon Burks, and Alec Pierce. And then a tight end, Sam Laporta, Jake Ferguson, Tyreek Hill. I wish Tyreek Hill. 2 Tyreek Hills on the roster would be pretty sick. Taysom Hill instead. But 2 T Hills, hey, we'll take it. All right. I like this team. I think definitely could have had a little more stacky. Obviously, not stacking Fields is not great. But I think in drafters, you can get away with it a little bit more, especially if it does overlay. I think just having a competent team with players that are appropriately valued will probably help carry you a little bit further on the site. That's my gut read on it, but we'll see. Of course, we have 3 more rounds left to go, so hopefully we can add a few more valuable picks. And honestly, I might take some late fields correlations that are dart throws that I very rarely play on the other sites, like Tyler Scott. I think could make sense here with Fields, but we'll see. See what we do. Tanyan maybe as a 4th tight end, I think could make sense here. People excited. Taysom time. I didn't know that there was this much Taysom love. I guess I did know it, but I just like on DraftKings and Underdog, he just doesn't do it for me because I think you're really relying on a little too much gimmickry. But here, and even still, I guess in a 3 tight end build, I'm willing to take Taysom overall if he's at ADP. And the issue is sometimes people reach for him a little bit too much. But I think here, like I think there's a lot of value in taking Taysom just because, again, if he gives you those 3 20-point weeks, 30-point weeks even, that's something where right away, I think there's some real value to just have him as part of the roster. And then you don't have to rely on him for the other 15, hopefully. Theoretical Michael Thomas has existed for 3 years. That's true. I still always think the way to play it is going to be that you hope that you're basically going to get him on a healthy year, and then you don't really want to, assume the worst. I think assuming the worst is always the thing that drafters are inclined to do, and that's a bad thing. You want to assume the best, and then if you get the best right, then you're probably crushing it. But obviously, Michael Thomas does have to prove it on the field at this point with the fact that he just hasn't been available, hasn't been ready to go. Very happily, 15% Andrews, 20% Hawkins. So I guess that's where a lot of my 3rd, 5th round picks go instead of QB. I think that makes sense. I will flag something that I haven't heard anybody in the industry talk about, but the Vikings beat writers have talked about it. So I guess he's got an ear infection to CJ Hawkinson that's really hurt him in a way where he's like not been able to balance himself and has like a mild bit of vertigo thing going. So it was something that they talked about as like a concern that he hasn't been on the field enough and like they're not sure how he's feeling. So that's something where his ADP hasn't moved at all. I don't know that it should for an ear infection, but it sounds like a really bad ear infection. So I don't know. I don't know about that. Is it a minute pick timer? I think it's 30 seconds. 30 seconds. 2 minutes to start the draft. Also nice too, because drafters drafts sometimes take a little bit longer to fill. This one filled pretty fast. But in general, I think they also will send you an email too. So if you could browse away. Again, I just think like if I'm going to rank the sites, like I still love the Underdog UX the most, but I think Drafters is pretty far ahead of DraftKings in terms of just like they send you an email when your draft is filled. It fills on time. I did a DraftKings draft this morning. I was due to make a pick and the app didn't update. Like I literally didn't tell me my pick was up. So I ended up with 19th round Trey Lance at one point, which like whatever. It doesn't like I don't think that's what's going to kill my DraftKings teams necessarily. But I really do think that like there is kind of a diminishing returns when you have bad UX. And from what I've seen from drafters, I've had no issues with the UX so far, which is really the main thing for me. I just don't want to be forced to draft shitty players because the UX sucks. All right, could use some more receivers here. Good, Deuce Vaughn's still here. Love to see that. I think Mecole Hardman for a spike week guy makes sense here. Mecole Hardman I do like as my bailout when I am stacking up Cleveland and the Jets for week 17 or stacking up Cleveland overall on the other platforms. Here, I think, though, he has a lot of merits just as being the guy that if you don't see Garrett Wilson go off, it's probably because he's being double covered, maybe bracket covered, and you can't see a guy like Mecole Hardman run those routes he ran in KC and have an upside. It's also possible, obviously, that it could go like a Corey Davis's way or something like that. But I think that, and the running backs too. But I think that Hardman's going to be used pretty well. And he just seems like the kind of guy that Aaron Rodgers will be happy to dump it off to him and let him create. And I think for Hardman that he's probably been a little bit undervalued the entire offseason, I would think. And he's been involved with the first team all offseason as well, and all training camp, all preseason. So I think Hardman's kind of a sneaky pick. The big DraftKings trying to kill my team. They know I'm going to advance and be like, I can't believe I won $1 million on that dog shit platform. So yeah, Mechie's a fun play. I agree. And I'm going to take him here, in fact. So add John Mechie. Was willing to take him actually the last pick, but I do think he fell to me here. I figured I can get Hardman and then Mechie might fall. Mechie's falling in every site. So that's just something to keep in mind here. I don't really know why. Like, I know he hasn't shown enough yet, but the guy's coming off like leukemia. I don't know, maybe give John Mechie a little bit of grace as he gets back to form. But I do think Mechie makes sense here, and we will see if we can add one bear here. Kyle in the chat, Big Marley takes Claypool, which Claypool, honestly, big spike week guy potential. So I get that. But yeah, I don't. Mr. Shadow Dog. Whenever I don't draft Deuce Vaughn, he comes out of the woodwork. Yes, I think it's McCole Hardman over Deuce Vaughn. Pat and Pete talked about it this morning too. And Pat was like, he's 5'5". Your best hope for him is Darren Sproles. And I think that still is how I feel as well. But God damn it, do I respect Mr. Shadow Dog defending his take. Him and Chunk the Deuce, two of our guys in chat who will defend Deuce Vaughn, will come out of the woodwork like Beetlejuice if you say Deuce Vaughn or don't draft him. Those guys will come right over to me. Wish I didn't enjoy DFS so much because I completely shower DK completely if I didn't. Yeah. I wish I were more of a FanDuel guy sometimes, but I had terrible experiences with the CSV upload on there. I definitely will be playing DraftKings. Actually checking in with the Stochastic folks to make sure that I can get their sim stuff, can get the hookup for that because I will make that a big part of my process as well. But definitely it's going to be a fun DFS season. But as I mentioned yesterday, I know our guy Brandon in the chat as well reached out to echo what I was saying. I really think you're going to want a Sims product if you're going heavy like DFS this year. And obviously, I'll probably swear by Stochastic, though. Our pal Justin Freeman over at Run the Sims also does a great job with that stuff. But I probably will combine them both, I think, for my process because the simulation things, like if you haven't been following it closely, they've been destroying an MLB, destroying an NBA. So the simulation products, I think, are ones that are going to be a very important part of what you're doing if you are going to play NFL DFS at any sort of level this year. Something to keep in mind. All right, let's dig deep for this one. So I think we have a luxury pick here at, the 20th round. So kind of inherently going to be a luxury pick. I am going to see if we can get Tyler Scott. Oh boy, there's too many Tylers, Let's go Scott instead. Okay. Tyler Scott, done. Tyler Scott, big play guy for Chicago, a guy that I think will have upside in this kind of format. Obviously, we have enough of the base at receiver, not a PPR guy, probably a pure touchdown guy. So maybe I could have gone and done that differently. My final team, though, Justin Fields, Anthony Richardson at QB. Oh, my face is over it. Fuck. Okay, wait, hold on. No, my face is everywhere. Okay. Justin Fields, Anthony Richardson at QB, Derrick Henry, Javonte Williams, Devin Achane, Kenneth Gainwell, Roshan Johnson, Gus Edwards at running back, a receiver, Tyreek Hill, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, Michael Pittman, Treylon Burks, Alec Pierce, Mecole Hardman, John Mechie, Tyler Scott, and then Sam Laporta, Jake Ferguson, Taysom Hill. You would think I have been drafting Sam Laporta all year with calling him the wrong name. There we go. That's the team. So this is Drafters, guys. I'm going to hit some more drafts coming up in the next few weeks. So play along with me here. Use that promo code. Now we can go to my big face. Use that promo code SPLASH. Double your deposit up to $100. Just wanted to get on here today, introduce the concept, talk to you guys about how I'm thinking about these teams, and also talk about the overlay stuff. Again, overlay is the best thing you can do for your bankroll. Your $100 on Drafters, up to $200 if you are doing a deposit match on there with that promo code SPLASH. It's going to give you the best chance to make a lot of money off of it. $300K to first in this Drafters Million. Right now, they're trying really hard to not get overlay, but it's looking like that might be an impossibility. So I do think, with our little community here, you're probably safe if you go on there to get some overlay for yourself. So go check that out. Oh, Ben wants to do another one. I mean, is there enough people in chat that want to do another one? I don't know. I think I should move out of the way because Swolecast is coming up at 1:30. So yes, we'll do another one another day. Obviously, keep your eyes peeled to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you know whenever we go live. Tomorrow, 9 a.m., DraftKings draft starts. I'll be here for 8 hours doing it. I don't know how I'm going to manage bathroom breaks. I don't know how I'm going to eat. I'm planning to just stay locked in the room for 8 hours. That's what my goal is tomorrow. So come hang out with me then. But I do appreciate all you guys hanging out with me. Of course, follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the show at SplashPlayPod. Shout out to the Squirt Squad. Of course, subscribe down below. Hit the like button. Leave a comment if you want to talk about anything Drafters related or in general. And I will see you guys tomorrow for the battle against fucking DraftKings, man. I'm chomping at the bit. I'm going to be here battling. I'll see you guys then. Enjoy your days. Good luck.